This past weekend, Donald Trump held a rally in Arizona where things very quickly went off the rails as Donald Trump went on an incomprehensible rant about how he is totally not cognitively impaired. And, the media is trying to craft this narrative that there's something wrong with his brain, when in reality, he is totally fine as of right now, he says. He will be cognitively impaired at some point, he tells us. It's just not happening yet. So here is that clip of a completely incoherent Trump swearing that he is totally not cognitively impaired. Take a look.
Mostly one mispronunciation of a word. He's cognitively impaired. He's getting old. He's getting old. He mispronounced a word like the name of the gang, if I did. I think I got it perfectly, didn't I? But if they see any, they watch for weeks and weeks. For weeks and weeks, I'm up here ranting and raving. Last night, 100,000 people, flawless, ranting and raving. I'm ranting and raving. Not a mistake. And then I'll be at a little thing and I'll say something a little bit like I'll say, duh. They'll say, he's cognitively impaired. No, I'll let you know when I will be. I will be someday. We all will be someday, but I'll be the first to let you know. But when you can do this...
Once again, Donald Trump did the thing. And the thing is, he misspoke. So in order to justify misspeaking or saying the wrong thing, he has to warp reality to fit into his mistake. Instead of saying, oops, I didn't mean to say that. But I will admit, at this time, when you're trying to convince people that you're not cognitively impaired, making a pretty big mental gaffe is definitely something that's harder to correct than if you were just speaking normally about any other topic. But when you're trying to convince people that your brain is totally top-notch, functioning on all cylinders, misspeaking is definitely not a good thing. But it's when he said this. I'll let you know when I will be. I will be someday. We all will be someday. That's actually scientifically not true. While it is true for most people that our reflexes do slow down, our processing times slow down a little bit as we get older, that does not equal cognitive impairment. So for Donald Trump to say, I will be someday, we all will be someday. No, we won't. And for you, Donald, that someday is right now. You are cognitively impaired. Cognitively impaired to the point where, one, you didn't make any sense while you were defending your mental acuity, and two, you repeatedly misspoke while you were defending your mental faculties. Those are definitely bad signs. But let me read you this from the New Republic because they pointed out perfectly. At a Wisconsin rally just over a week ago, he compared himself to a fly, struggled to pronounce words like Midwestern and evangelicals, and spread misinformation about Hurricane Helene. In a New York rally in September, he stumbled over words like migrants and Russia and had trouble stringing sentences together. Trump's speech patterns and alertness look very different from 8 years ago, and psychology researchers see compelling evidence that Trump is significantly less sharp than he was at the start of his presidency, with increasingly incoherent speech. The media is finally starting to give the issue attention, which probably prompted the media-obsessed former president to bring up his cognitive decline at his rally. The issue is, yes, the media is finally starting to pay attention to this. Problem, should have been doing it 6 months ago. Could have been doing it 12 months ago, 18 months ago. Y'all waited until we're right at the finish line of the election to finally start coming out and saying, hey, you know what? Something's not right about this guy. We have had mental health professionals telling us for 8 years that something is very seriously wrong with him. And at any point in the last 8 years, MSNBC, CNN, News Nation, any of those organizations, because Fox News is not, could have reached out to these people to say, hey, come on the air, let's talk about Donald Trump's mental issues. Instead, the one person who has done a phenomenal job with this over the last 8-9 years is Chauncey DeVega, writing for Salon.com. He repeatedly, routinely talks to these mental health professionals, getting the latest on what they think is happening inside of Donald Trump's brain. I mean, out of everybody in any form of media, nobody has done it better than Chauncey DeVega. But the problem is everybody else could have been doing that. They just didn't. And now we are in a position where we do have a bit of a tighter race, which was expected as we get closer. But if the media had been doing their job, we wouldn't have a tight race right now. The Republicans have a man sitting at the top of their ticket that doesn't know where he is half the time. I mean, he's literally told audiences in recent weeks, it's great to be in, this city, but actually they're in this city. He's told people to go vote on January 5th instead of telling them it's November 5th. He had a dance party Monday night because he didn't feel like talking anymore because he doesn't have the energy to do it. He can't pronounce words. He can't remember people's names. He is struggling mentally. And the media continued to whistle past the graveyard for far too long. And yeah, the Washington Post came out this week and said, hey, Trump's clearly got mental problems. New York Times last Sunday did that big expose on Donald Trump's cognitive decline. But at this point, for these national media outlets, it is too little, too late. You should have been doing this all year long, and you didn't. It's not like these symptoms, it's not like these speech problems just emerged. They have been evident, and I know because I talk about it almost every single day. Another thing, just while we're on the topic of media failures with regard to Donald Trump, the man's a convicted felon. When was the last time you saw a national media outlet or a cable news channel, whatever, mention that? When was the last time you saw anyone mention Donald Trump is still awaiting his criminal sentencing happening at the end of November? Are you hearing them talk about that on CNN, on News Nation, on MSNBC, certainly not on Fox News or Newsmax? The man is a convicted felon, a potentially mentally ill convicted felon at this point. And the media, 3 weeks out from this election, less than 3 weeks now, is finally talking about the, mental part of it. But I think the American public needs to be reminded, because they've got the attention span of a drunken toddler, that this man is a convicted felon that is awaiting his criminal sentencing. He is a convicted felon that is still waiting more trials. He is a convicted felon that could be convicted of more felonies. And I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty damn important, and it's something that, honestly, I think a lot of voters have forgotten about. Let's face it, ever since Donald Trump's criminal convictions were handed down in May, a lot of things have happened in this country. A lot of things have happened around the world. So it's easy to forget these things, no matter how major they are, when the political news cycle, resets itself every 8 hours now. But the media has to do better. They've got less than 3 weeks now to start covering this guy accurately. Talk about the mental issues, no matter how much he denies them, and talk about the criminal factor here. Because both of those are important. Both of those could obviously impact how he serves as president. And both of those are things the voters need to be keenly aware of before they cast their ballot in November. Hi everyone, this here is little Athena, and Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet, so please don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.